We got Gators breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators breakdown. Because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC and coming at you with one we were really hoping would happen. It's kind of teased it enough the last few days. Talking about upcoming decisions, Kendall Guervil on July the 2nd was a big one. And Florida had to get this one done. Florida got this one done on July 2nd, getting the commitment of Kendall Guervil from Fort Myers, 4-star defensive lineman, a force in the middle. We'll get into it right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown, but had to get this one done. So thanks for everybody. Going live when I could with this. It's been a busy day. It's a good thing. I'm not complaining. Let's see. I've been on my Bill King show on Tuesday morning on the radio for 1010XL up in Birmingham as well with Jocks. I was on with Shane Matthews Tuesday morning for his Pod Up podcast. I'll be on Hot Top Sports tonight. So around 8:30, I believe. Everybody just kind of shimmy on over there, and I'll talk with the boys at Hot Top. I'm probably forgetting something else. It's been a busy week. Everybody wanting to talk football. Good thing in a way. Just talk pure football mostly. Most of the conversations haven't been about recruiting. Oh, and of course, I've been on TV with News for Jacks with a segment that'll be airing throughout the week. So it's been a busy time. It must mean we're getting. I mean, look, the calendar turned to July. Football's almost in the air. Media days in a couple of weeks. But we all know recruiting, the hot topic right now. And that's what we'll get into. And that's what we've been getting into right here on Gators Breakdown. Hey, I didn't have to be on vacation for this one. and Florida gives a big one anyway. So everybody hit that like button. I know you like this one. I know you like the commit. I know you like the story right here of getting Kendall Guervil. So smash that like button. Comments. Leave me some comments here of what you guys think. I'll peek into them in just a second. But leave some comments and subscribe right here on Gators Breakdown on YouTube if you're watching us live or the replay, or if you're catching the replay on the podcast version, subscribe right there on your favorite podcast platform if you haven't done so yet. All right, of course, got to keep the reminder, Independent Gator Media Day presented by the Sachs Law Group. It is July 27th, starting at 2 p.m. at First Magnitude Brewing there in Gainesville. Mentioned it on the last episode, but in case you missed that or didn't see the social media post, we have our first set of players scheduled to appear. This is subject to change, but hopefully these guys agreed. Vernell Brown III, Grayson Pup Howard, Jacoby Jackson, Jaden Robinson, Hilton Drake Stubbs, Trayon Webb, and Jaden Woods. We'd love to see you there. Meet and greet with the players. Those guys will be there. We're hoping to get some more. Hopefully those announcements will be coming soon. Tickets start at $25, but you'll get the media panel with us all from Gators Breakdown, High Top Sports, Stadium and Gale. We'll have hopefully some other special guests as well that we hope to announce pretty soon. We'll do some Q&A with you guys. All that good. It'll be a good time, but you get to meet some Gator players there. So it should be a fun time. Come join us. Independent Gator Media Day, presented by the Sachs Law Group, July 27th. Link is in the description to take part in that. Hey, if you want to take part in more discussion, help us out. You want to support me in another way? Gators Breakdown Plus. I get asked, hey, Dave, how can we support? That's one way to do it. $3 a month to get you in that Discord. You can talk Gators all day, every day, all day, with a great community that I have there. Recruiting board has been hot with all the movement lately. Extra episodes. We have those chats that just are our member-only chats, all that good stuff. Link is in the description to join Gators Breakdown Plus as well. So, all right. I'm going to peek at the comments. We'll try and keep it on the subject here. So I want to get into the content right here with Kendall Guervil committing to the Gators. A bunch of Go Gators from Jimbo SEC saying Go Gators. Casual Carolina Fishing, thanks for hopping in one more time. Go Gators from him. Big Gator Chomp, a Go Gators. Harrison Sanchez, a big Go Gators. Tony, thanks for the donation. And Big Gator Chomp says, hey, Dave, are we getting Henderson at 7:15? I do not believe so. Trent Henderson should be picking LSU. I'd be completely surprised if any Gator love goes there. So, casual Carolina fishing. Talent along the defensive line wins championships. It's certainly an important part. We talked about the importance of it. We know the staff sees the importance of it, of retaining guys like Caleb Banks and Tyreek Sapp and setting up for a run this year. And we've seen some, DeAndre Robinson transfer away. We've seen some recent deflections. Stephon Shivers no longer with the team. So Florida's, got in trouble a little bit with depth from the young guys. Needed a guy like Gerville, getting a commitment from him. We'll see how soon, he'd be able to contribute. But Florida needs some more young guys. Florida needs some more young guys there. And Chase Campbell says, Dave, man, crazy to think we have pretty much the same class as Texas at the moment and have a higher average. Who would think so with all their recent success and money they have? Yeah, I mean, they'll probably go on a run at some point, but this was a big win over them. They wanted him. Dave stole Rodney Cleveland from Florida. That's why this one was a must for Florida to get. We'll kind of get into that storyline a bit too, but I did notice that too, looking at the rankings. I just assumed. I haven't really kept up with the rankings all that much, except for just knowing Georgia and Alabama have been going crazy lately. I didn't realize Texas was recruiting the way they were. I expect them to go on a run, but that did catch me a little bit off guard. All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into some talk about Kendall Guervil, the type of player he is, all that good stuff. There's a lot to get into. With him. I mean, this was a big one, and Florida had to get it. All right, let's do it. Kendall Guervil, 4-star defensive lineman that the Gators absolutely needed. Gators get one of their top targets for a long time. It was needed. Cannot stress that enough. Standing at 6'4", 315 pounds, Florida gets their guy for the interior of the defensive line with the commitment of Kendall Guervil. 4-star from Fort Myers, commits to Florida over Texas and rival Florida State, but this was mostly a Florida-Texas battle. Gerville is the 146th overall player on the 24/7 Sports Composite and the 19th ranked defensive lineman and the 19th player in the state of Florida. On the On3 industry rankings, the rival rankings, he comes in as the 134th overall player in the country and the 12th ranked defensive lineman and the 14th player in the state of Florida. So you go and break down his rankings. Boosting his rating is his sole rating on 24/7 Sports. Not the composite where they take all the rankings together, just 24/7's own rankings. They have Kendall Guervil as the 77th player in the country. A top 100 player, about a top 75 player is Kendall Guervil on 24/7's own rankings. He's a verified 6'4.5", 311 pounds, 10.5-inch hands, 34.74-inch arms, and an 84.5-inch wingspan, or 84.5-inch wingspan. So you get those tools for a defensive lineman. Those are physical tools to be a disruptor along the defensive line. Florida was really, really high on Gerville. They have recruited him hard for a couple of years now. You get those measurables, you get that size, and inside the walls at Florida, they consider Kendall Guervil a can't-miss prospect. They did. Now, there are some higher-rated defensive linemen out there, and I would have loved to have a Rodney Cleveland to pair with somebody like Kendall Guervil, but the staff, much of the staff was higher on Kendall Guervil than any of the other defensive linemen. So, staff gets their guy here. Staff goes and gets their guy. So Florida, like I said, they recruited him so much and looked good earlier this year. When I had Corey Bender on and we're talking and kind of laying the groundwork for this class, Kendall Guervil was a guy that Corey just raved about and talking about how much the staff liked and how much Florida was going to pursue and how much Florida just wanted in this class. And it looked good for Florida earlier on. But, some visits happened. But, with so many trips to Gainesville and, recruiting him from the state of Florida. But with all the trips to Gainesville, he was still mentioning that Texas and Georgia, even Georgia, taking visits to Georgia, at different points, he had mentioned Texas and Georgia as his leaders at some point. And Texas had been the school trending in this one up until a few days ago. So maybe with many of the defensive line targets picking elsewhere, we'll get back into that storyline a bit. Maybe Florida felt the need to press more. Maybe pony up more NIL to get this one done. That's fine to talk about. We all know it's the case now. But Florida had to get this one done, needed to get this one done, needed to find a way to get this one done. It doesn't matter why. You had to get it done. Doesn't matter how, you had to get it done. It was time to win a battle this cycle in the interior defensive line. If Florida comes out on top. Bonnie Cleveland chose Texas a couple of weeks ago. Okay, that one hurt. You were trending for that one. And kind of like this one, a few days before the commitment, you started hearing whispers of another school. Well, we've been hearing Texas for Gerville. It was going to hurt Florida because Florida missing on some defensive linemen. Well, a few days ago, Florida got, and I guess in a way, a little bit of payback, a little bit of reverse fortune here. All right, well, days before maybe we think Texas is going to be the pick, started here in Florida, and then on commitment day, Gerville chooses the Gators. They had to get it done. J.J. Perez is announcing his decommitment and or flip to Ohio State on Friday, like the worst kept secret in the world right now. I saw him tweet on Monday, hey, big announcement coming Friday. I wonder what that could be. We know what that is. we know what's coming there. So, and then, Florida up front, does have a commitment from Gerville McCoy, but he's seen more of a defensive end type playing that F edge spot. So if you want to look interior defensive line, Florida had to get this one done. Gerville, the stats really just pop out too. He wreaked havoc last season. According to Max Preps, Gerville accounted for 88 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, a half sack, and caused 2 fumbles. In his sophomore season, he had 49 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, and 2 forced fumbles. So there you go. That's a disruptor. And, it's getting stats along the defensive line, especially when you play on the interior, can be a little tricky. But he was putting them up. He was putting them up. Let's get into it a little bit. Let's get into a little bit of film analysis. Make sure I got that set up for you guys. And there it is, if you're watching on the YouTube version. Let's get it going here. Some film and analysis. And look, I think in my brief watch, I do think Gerville can move around the defensive line. He can play. He's going to mostly play inside. You want him to mostly play inside. He can slide out if he needs to, because he's got the athleticism to do so. Don't think you'll ask him much to do it. But Florida needed an interior guy. They got a guy who can mostly play the interior, who's mostly going to play the interior. But if Florida in a pinch needs him to slide out a little bit, he can do that. Let's go to Corey Bender from Gators Online and On 3. He offers this analysis. Gerville brings size, power, and athleticism to the interior and immediately becomes one of the most important defensive additions in Florida's 2026 class. He's got the dominant frame with big-time strength. Gerville already has the physical makeup of an SEC defensive tackle. He's broad-shouldered, powerful through the hips, plays with heavy hands. His lower body strength stands out on tape as he anchors well against the run and rarely gives up ground at the point of attack. He plays with a solid base and balance, and when he keeps his pad level low, he's difficult to move. Gerville's sheer size and raw power allow him to disrupt plays early and absorbs double teams without getting overwhelmed. For being 300-plus pounds, Gerville moves impressively well. He flashes a nice get-off at the snap, shows the ability to close space quickly when attacking gaps. On tape, he chases down plays from the backside, doesn't look out of place when changing direction. He has the feet and short area burst to create early disruption on passing downs. Also, his ability to redirect gives him upside as both a one-gap or two-gap player depending on the scheme. Let's play it again. There we go. That kind of flexibility makes him valuable. Where he can improve, While Gerville checks a lot of boxes physically, there's still technical development ahead. At times, he stands a little bit too tall out of his stance, which limits his leverage and hand pop. Improving his pad level and keeping his hands inside will help him shed blocks more consistently. As a pass rusher, he wins with effort and power, but doesn't yet have a full set of counters. Developing a go-to move and working on timing will make him a more complete disruptor on third downs. A high-ceiling addition along the interior. Florida's coaching staff targeted Guervil early and kept pressing through visits. He was atop the board for defensive line coach Gerald Chapman. With more polish, he could grow into a player who commands double teams, holds the line against the run, and even creates pocket pass or pocket push as a pass rusher. He gives Florida an immediate physical presence on the defensive line and a long-term foundation piece. That's what you like to hear. That's what you like to hear. Let's hear more. Andrew Ivins from 24/7 Sports. He offers, quote, athletic defensive tackle with the mass and quickness to make an impact in the middle. Tips the scales at just over 6'4", 310 pounds, and wears it well with a thicker trunk. Slams into opponents and frequently is one initiating contact. Will get low in his stance with exceptional lower body flexibility, but pad level tends to rise as play progresses, which can put him in some comparable positions. Displays adequate get-off for his size and has the downhill charge to close gaps in backside pursuit. Has manufactured plenty of power in the weight room over the years, and that shows up with his bull rush as he can forklift obstacles. But needs to figure out how to get more from his 35-inch arms and big 10 1/4 inch hands. Enters senior year with a lower sack total compared to most of his peers, but has the tools to eventually emerge as an effective one-gap player if he can take the coaching, keep honing his craft. Could fit into a variety of different fronts and shape in short yardage situations. Project as a potential multi-year contributor at the Power 4 level with an NFL ceiling, given how he moves with his features. Good stuff there from those guys. But yeah, I think you got to like what you saw there. And seeing it and hearing it, I think one thing that always stands out to me about defensive linemen, and both guys there made sure to point it out, and something I wanted to come back around to is the backside pursuit. Not giving up on plays, staying in your lane, staying in your position, doing your job. Doing your job a lot of times is going to get you the stats. You saw the high tackle numbers where, well, backside tackles, those rack up. And offensive design these days where the zone reads and guys think they can cut back. No, if you stay in your lane, do your job, you're on the backside, you're going to rack up some tackles. So backside play, and I know a lot of people are going to make fun of that one. What does Josh Pate say in his immunity? But his backside play stands out and something I think should be commended for. All right, he's the 15th overall commit for the Gators class of 2026. 15 commits now for the Gators as we sit here on July 2nd. Gerville he's the second highest ranked player in the class behind cornerback C.J. Brona and raises Florida to 14th on the 24/7 Sports composite. Florida ranking 14th now in the country. He's Florida's 8th commit from the state of Florida in the 15-man class. So over half the class, or about half the class, from the home state of Florida. So one more time, why was it so important? What's the story of defensive line recruiting recently? Talked enough about it, but we'll dive into it one more time, just in case you haven't been keeping up, interested in this one. But you go back to just Monday, just a couple of days ago, in the commitment of Preston Carey, the IMG product. Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Rutgers. The day started, Georgia getting some love. Then it kind of maybe shifted towards Florida, but then commitment time comes, he picks Georgia. Now, so Florida misses on one out there, or misses one there. Georgia also pulled in 4-star defensive lineman James Johnson. Not that Florida was in that one too much, as always to me, Georgia or Miami. But still, Florida made the final 3. Maybe somebody they continue to maybe try and chip away on. And then going to the Texas side of it, remember, I already brought up, Texas made a big, fast move for four-star Vodney Cleveland when it looked like he was in a good position for Florida to get at one point. I think Florida stays after him. And then you got the possible battle with Georgia and others for Vaughn Sonnet. So we'll see what happens with that one. That one's really hard to get a read on because of how all the visits shook out in the summer. When they were set for certain days, it didn't happen. Took some midweek to Florida. Heard some good things on the hills on that visit, but that kind of faded a bit as well. That was just hard to get a read on. Auburn getting into the mix, Ohio State getting into the mix, or maybe an August visit there to Ohio State. So right now, I wouldn't say Florida sits too well for Sonny at this point. And then let's not forget, go back to it one more time. Florida does have a current commitment from J.J. Perez, but some announcement coming on Friday, likely either decommit and a flip to Ohio State, or just for the time decommit from Florida. That's what I expected his announcement to be on Friday. So there's your defensive line story. There's your defensive line story. That's why this one was so big for Florida and getting it done. So, all right, there we go. Let's take a look ahead one more time, like we've been kind of doing recently, for some upcoming decisions. Because might be getting another one tomorrow. Just the way it goes, huh? Right? That's what we want to see. We've been going over this list. July 2nd, that's today. Kendall Guervil commits to the Gators. Trenton Henderson expecting to pick LSU. Sadaria Morgan earlier today did pick Alabama as expected. July 3rd, cornerback C.J. Hester. Darren Wilson, cornerback coach, comes in, put in a lot of work. Florida trending really well. Iowa, the main competition for Florida. But I think Florida's sitting good for C.J. Hester a day before he makes his commitment. And then if you missed this, July 4th, five-star offensive lineman Felix Ojo put Florida in his final schools, Texas, Ohio State. I think Michigan may be in that mix as well. But I think, be one of those schools. July 6th, four-star Chauncey Kennan. I think more of a Florida State lean right now. July 12th should be another big day for the Gators. If you were to ask me right now, four-star tight end Heezy Kent, the three-star, or the four-star, but the 300-pound option at tight end there. Talked about that last episode if you want to get more tight end talk. But he could be part of a three-man tight end room for the Gators. Four-star linebacker DQ Forkpa from IMG. He also decides on July 12th. Right now, Florida would be the pick, in my opinion. You also got five-star tight end Caden Prothro making his decision. Georgia-Alabama battle there. I think in Georgia. And then coming soon, we may get more on the 4th of July. Four-star linebacker Malik Morris makes his decision at some point soon, but some people think it could be a 4th of July decision. Nothing confirmed there. Hopefully some orange and blue fireworks. And in just a daytime, now I still have him, if you guys have been following along, the orange font means this is where I feel pretty good about Florida. In just a daytime, maybe not as good on four-star wide receiver Davion Gross from the state of Texas. I think Oklahoma's coming in, offering some early playing time. He likes what Florida offered him. Don't know if he sees the field immediately at Florida as he could at Oklahoma. Florida has recruited wide receiver very well. Florida's got two good ones already. Marquez Daniel, Justin Williams in this class. And also, if you scroll down a little bit, Samorian Wingo from St. Augustine, very in the mix for Florida as well. So Davion Gross, an elite type of playmaker at that decision. Maybe Baylor in the mix as well for the state of Texas guy. So right now, I probably would actually switch that to the black font because I don't feel as good as I once did about that one. We'll see where that one goes. And then four-star cornerback Brody Jennings from here in Jacksonville at Mandarin, currently committed to Michigan. Don't think that one ends up for Florida at the moment. But that's an upcoming decision where we know there's been some recent storylines. All right, let me get into some comments, and then sign off on this episode because it's just been, like I said, been a busy week, and I would expect to come back on here tomorrow and talk about CJ Hester committing to the Gators. So, Double Gator says, a great get. Let's keep it going. Absolutely. Let's do it. Sorry, guys. Just I'm going to go through here the comments. Talked about Henderson earlier, maybe committing to LSU. Chase Campbell brings up a good point for the edge spot. Don't have commitment dates for those. That's why they weren't on that previous slide. With Jake Krull, isn't going to decide until the fall. Then you got KJ Ford, who I feel good with Florida right now. But I have no idea when he's going to make his decision. So I think should be adding another edge player. Krull, hard to get a read on. Ohio State, Oklahoma. See where that one goes. I think Florida's done some good work there. But I feel better about KJ Ford in that situation right now. Jimbo SEC, hey, thank you very much, man. Just grabbed my ticket for the 27th, he says. Hey, good. Hope to see you there. Hope to see you there. Well, I mean, you just grabbed your ticket, so hope to see everybody else there. But, hey, make sure you say hello. Tell me you're Jimbo SEC so I can remember. But certainly glad that I will be seeing you there. Big Gator Chomp, we need big-time players to stay with Georgia and Alabama. Yep. I mean, I've been seeing that conversation lately about stars not mattering. It's all about development. Yes, development matters. But it's the development of 5 stars and 4 stars. And my old adage goes, and guys, if you haven't listened to me much on recruiting, I don't bang the drum as much as I used to because you guys know how I feel about it. Ain't no sense in coming on here every episode and banging the same drum about recruiting. But yeah, stars matter. And I'm not going to shy away from that. You didn't hear stars don't matter when Florida was getting the 5 stars and 4 stars, highly rated 4 stars. You didn't hear that then, did you? You only hear that when it's your rivals getting the big names and the big stars. Now, can you win some of that? Yeah, I'm talking about a consistent winner. I'm not talking about a flash in the pan. Now, look, it's going to be hard to get to that point where Florida is right now. That is going to take some time. But to get there, you're going to have to chip away. Start winning, and then it'll go along. But yes, you need the stars. Yes, you need development. I'm not saying you don't. Stars matter. Stars matter. And yeah, if you want to keep up with Georgia, if you want to keep up with Alabama, if you want to keep up with Texas, that's what you got to do. A lot of those I already answered here, but thanks for sending them in. All the Henderson talk to LSU. Yep. Henderson to LSU. Yep. There we go. Okay. South Florida, Don, how are we looking at the O-line as far as recruits? Florida's done. Florida is done. Florida's got the 5 offensive linemen that they want. Let's make sure we'll go through them right quick one more time. I don't want to leave anybody out, so let me get the list up. But Florida has the 5 offensive linemen they want. You got Tyler Chokium at offensive tackle, Chancellor Campbell at offensive tackle, Janare Carr, one of the interior offensive linemen, Javari Lucas at offensive tackle, and then Desmond Green, one of the most recent commits on the interior of the offensive line. That is your 5 offensive linemen. I think Florida's going to stay put there. So they got who they want. And if you want to go the composite ranking, there, well, you can't do it like that. Okay, anyway, Florida got their 5. Florida's got their 5. So you say interior and tackle. So got the 5 they want. Rob Sale, Johnson DeCoster. I mean, we were sitting here at the end of June, and we've known the whole time 5 offensive linemen was the plan. By the end of June, they got their 5. Kenny Roberts, good evening. Brother Dave, hey, man. What is up? What is up? What is up? Thanks for everybody hopping in here. Good episode. Good episode. Henderson just committed to LSU. There we go. Not much of a surprise. It stings because, it's trending Florida for a little while. And he goes to a rival. And, I saw the storylines out there all week about boosters talking about how much LSU's offering and all that stuff. I mean, that's the name of the game. You're worth what somebody's willing to pay for you. All right. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Good 30-minute episode here. One talking about get that commitment. Kendall Guervil. That was a big one. Just needed it to happen. Needed it to happen. I'll sign off. Hey, if you want to hear more from me, who knows where the conversation is going to go with the hot top guys tonight? It's always a fun time with those guys. So, what about 8:30 or so? Check me out over there. Should be a fun time. Bull Gator, hey, thanks for hopping in. Hopping here at the end. You catch the replay if you haven't done it yet. But there we go. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.